On this week's edition of Monday Night Raw, we were treated to a whole host of surprises. One that shockingly saw the heel turn of the now former Raw Women's Champion Ronda Rousey. We say former as you might recall that on last week's Raw, Ronda Rousey laid down the Raw Women's title because Stephanie McMahon wouldn't put Becky Lynch back in the Wrestlemania match she rightfully earned at the Royal Rumble. Stephanie would follow through, believing Ronda's actions were blasphemous, and declared the Raw Women's title to be vacant. Stephanie McMahon addressed backstage that the company has dropped all charges against Becky Lynch and her 60-day suspension has now been lifted. Thus she is now eligible to compete at the Show of Shows, but only if she wins her match against Charlotte Flair at Fastlane to make it a triple threat. However, in order to make the match official, Lynch would need to sign a hold harmless agreement in order to face Charlotte Flair for the now vacant championship. But before anything was signed, WWE cut backstage to Charlotte Flair, who was certain that Lynch would sign the agreement, but mentioned that even at her best, the man simply doesn't compare to the Queen. A boastful Charlotte told the WWE Universe that they could bask in her glory once she becomes the Raw Women's Champion. Funny how two women from SmackDown are in line for the Raw Women's Championship. Anyway, Stephanie then later came out with the championship in hand and showed footage of last week's Raw, reminding those watching of Rousey laying down the belt. Becky signed the agreement, making the match official for Fastlane. And being a true babyface, she didn't care if she was injured, she could beat her again and even threatened to do it right now. An angry-faced Ronda then appeared to be heading to the ring from the parking lot. Rousey explained that she did not vacate her title, and after all that, announcing the title as vacant and the championship will be on the line at this week's Fastlane pay-per-view, Stephanie simply handed it back to her, which means that it's not anymore. Nevertheless, Stephanie maintained the stipulation that if Lynch wins, she will be added to the match at WrestleMania to make it a triple threat match for the championship, but if she loses, Lynch will not be in the title scene at all. Rousey said that she has free reign to do whatever she wants because McMahon values her wallet over Becky and Charlotte's frail little bodies, and now she has reached boiling point with the fans and yelled, "Damn the man, screw the woo, and no more Mrs. Nice Bitch." Rousey then clocked Flair as she was leaving the ring and headed straight for Becky. Rousey totally destroyed her in the ring, laying in some stiff body shots before locking in her signature armbar. To add insult to injury, Rousey placed her foot on Lynch's head as she stood tall with the championship, cementing her heel turn. But why now? Why has WWE turned Ronda Rousey heel before WrestleMania 35? Well, we have 3 reasons why. Number 1. The crowd were already against her. Those who followed Ronda's UFC career will be familiar with the Ronda who used to talk trash but back it up, destroying everyone in her path. There were hardly no smiles, just pure cockiness and aggression. The trash talking eventually came to bite her in the back, but that's who she was. So fans were surprised to see a smiley and cheerful Ronda in WWE, waving to the crowd as she was just happy to be accepted by the WWE Universe. Fans did accept her as she made one of the most impressive debuts at WrestleMania 34, defeating Stephanie and Triple H. She was still a little green, but that was to be expected. Fans still supported her as she went on, and fully supported her win at SummerSlam where she won the Raw Women's Championship. Again, they supported her on numerous pay-per-views when she defended the title, but as soon as Becky Lynch came into the Raw title picture, the fans quickly turned on her. Crowd reactions to Rowdy Ronda were getting more and more negative each week, receiving a hurl of boos on a weekly basis. As the weeks went on, Rousey seemed to be getting more and more bothered by the hostility of the crowd, even being booed in her own hometown, which is really bad, considering even Daniel Bryan was cheered in his hometown, despite his heel character. She could bat off the boos initially, but as the chants grew louder, it caused her to mess up promos and even get flustered, gaining more taunts from the crowd as they loudly cheered Becky's name. WWE quickly realized there was no way she would get cheered at WrestleMania 35, especially when the fans are so behind the Irish lass kicker. Going back to her days in UFC, Rousey is undoubtedly more suited to playing a heel. Her mic skills are decent enough, especially when she shows her aggression towards others and is not simply pandering to the crowd. Rousey even came off as a believable heel, as she looked to have given Lynch a few good stiff shots to both the arm and abdomen, displaying true hatred to the man, and why she is the one getting cheered over her. The assault on Lynch didn't even end after the cameras went off the air, as Rousey returned to give Lynch a further beatdown as she rested against the turnbuckle. She even swore a couple of times at her, not holding anything back, just like their recent Twitter exchange. The booking of her turning heel was smart, as this is the Ronda fans would have loved to have seen from the start, not a smiling goof. Ultimately, this will no doubt help Lynch overall, as she will go into WrestleMania as a top babyface. No longer will the WWE be concerned if they heavily boo Flair or Rousey. Number 2. A 4 Horsewomen feud. It's been one of the most anticipated feuds in WWE, but there are a number of snafus in the way of WWE pulling the proverbial trigger. For one, even though Banks, Bayley and Lynch are on the same page, Charlotte Flair is not. Plus, all Horsewomen are on different brands, with Shayna Baszler, Jasmine Duke and Marina Shafir not getting a call-up just yet, and Baszler seems to be the only one polished enough for a call-up. Nevertheless, one thing has fallen into place, as since Rousey has now turned heel, it wouldn't be unrealistic to see the foursome together as WWE keeps teasing a feud. Having the Horsewomen on her side could even elevate her status as a heel. Booking-wise, the decision to turn Rousey heel was easier than turning all members of the 4 Horsewomen of MMA face. Hints have been dropped at the Royal Rumble and on a number of episodes of Raw earlier in the year, as both Banks, Bayley and Lynch have all thrown up the signature 4 Horsewomen sign on one occasion. Rousey has even mentioned the Horsewomen in a recent backstage interview, responding to Banks throwing up the sign after their match at the Rumble, mentioning that their version of the 4 Horsewomen is nothing but a marketing ploy. Her friendship with Baszler, Shafir and Duke is the real deal. They were the Horsewomen before coming to WWE. She mentioned, "It wasn't a gimmick or a marketing ploy because it was a gimmick or it made us more popular because we are aligned. It was like, this is real, it's personal. This is our lives and they're taking something that's near and dear to our hearts and just trying to package it and sell it to the masses. I mean, they don't even like each other. I don't know, it's just something that is so personal and near and dear to me and my friends that if they held the 4s up in the same regard that we do, I would have respect for that. But for them, this is nothing but marketing." Dave Meltzer mentioned on the Wrestling Observer Live on whether a dream match between WWE's Horsewomen and MMA's will happen soon. Ronda actually cut a promo about the Horsewomen vs Horsewomen match. It was actually a good promo too. Right now, as far as between now and WrestleMania, there is no plans for that. It can change, but there's nothing now you know. So I had asked specifically. I said, it looks like they're going that direction and Sasha really wants that especially and Ronda's not opposed to it. You know those are our real friends, but it's not in the cards in the next 2 pay-per-views right now. It can change. And number 3, a Paul Heyman girl. The Wrestling Observer newsletter has noted in the past that Rousey wanted to work with Heyman, but the WWE has been hesitant to put the two together due to the likelihood of having to turn her heel. Well, now that Rousey has turned heel, this might be a possibility. Plus, the two have been working very closely backstage. According to Ringside News, Heyman and Rousey meet often backstage to discuss the storylines between her and Lynch. Heyman has helped Rousey's character, and he also lent a creative hand in the two's recent war of words on social media. Dave Meltzer recently spoke about this on the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer Live. Everything with Ronda is in some form. It's not like it's all Paul Heyman, okay? It's not. It's all Paul Heyman. But everything's gonna have Paul Heyman fingerprints because he's very hands-on in this. And that's his complete MO. It's not what he's done before, but I know him. This is how he thinks. If the rumors of Brock Lesnar re-signing with the UFC and possibly taking another break from WWE are true, there wouldn't be much for Paul Heyman as an on-screen character anymore. While they could keep him backstage as a creative writer, he could be used to further Ronda's heel character on screen. Ronda is a decent enough talker, but she is one-dimensional. All she can do is trash talk. Heyman would arguably be able to add more to her character. But what do you guys think? Do you like Rousey as a heel? Let us know in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.